tune in if you want to hear. So we have Chad, Josh, Dmitri, and Marcus every Friday.
It's the Square Round Table.
Tune in.
It's the Square Round Table podcast. Let's have a blast. I know at work you had a long day. Just relax and tune in.
Welcome back, our freaks and geeks, into another review time. I don't know what we're gonna call this. We're gonna figure out a name 100% for this, but right now it's just gonna be review time for now. Yeah, but what we're reviewing is awesome. We're reviewing this Ahsoka series, and we're gonna give you all of our opinions and what we thought and what we like, everything, and give you a nice, good rating at the end of the review. Marcus, where do you want to start off? Do you want to go from the beginning to the end, or you want to jump around?
Just to give an introduction of this.
Okay.
This is another one of the Star Wars series under Disney, and it is, what is it? It connects with the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. So It's all in that span of time, which is in the canon or whatever the timeline. I'll be trying to keep up, but it's so much stuff now. But it's like right after, Return of the Jedi, and it's supposed to lead up into that other stuff we don't talk about.
He who should not be named or whatever.
Yeah, the race. I call it the race saga because that's who it was about.
Out of the Skywalker toss-up saga, because there's two Skywalkers again.
Yeah,
but let's get back to the good stuff.
Yeah, we don't speak upon those things. But yes, the Ahsoka series, written and even some episodes directed by the great Dave Filoni, who is the apprentice of the maker himself, George Lucas. It's about time he got something to do live action. Like, I know he's directed some stuff, but like actually have like his own thing.
Yeah.
Like direct, because I know me and you've been saying for years he should have been the one to take over the reins and do the new sequel trilogy.
Yeah, I agree.
Everything happens in time, and you get what you get. But he definitely, it's long overdue for Dave to have this. So it's refreshing and exciting to see. And plus, I don't think anybody else could have got this project, because he's Ahsoka is his baby. He created the character. He flushed out. He developed. He grew her in the Clone Wars series, and then she came back in Rebels, and that was his thing. So it's only right that he took her over into the live action and ran that whole operation. So, for those who may not know, or for those who are the casual fans watching the series, Ahsoka is a character who was introduced all the way back in 2008.
Yeah, I think 2000.
Yeah, with the Clone Wars movie.
Clone Wars.
Yeah. And it's crazy because people didn't like her at first, and they said she was annoying, and they didn't like the character. Like a lot of, especially Star Wars fans, they was like dogging her out. And once the series came out, the Clone Wars series, she started to grow on people. And shout out to her voice actress Ashley Exon. I think I said her name, but of course we get here. And we get Rosario Dawson, who's playing her live action. And it's crazy because the fans are the ones who put it in the universe on Twitter. And they were saying if anyone plays Ahsoka in live action, it should be Rosario. And she was like, yeah, I would love to, if it happens. And then in like a couple more years, we get it. It's, if you're a real fan, and you've been a fan of Ahsoka and just the Clone Wars and just watching all that, like the journey to get here, it's like it's crazy. It's crazy. We're here. We're reviewing the show. We're giving our thoughts. It's a lot of juice in this show. We got a lot of callbacks. We got to see the GOAT of Star Wars live action return. Yeah. Got to see the GOAT. He came back. Another character from the animated series made his debut. So it's a lot of the debuts were like animated characters coming over to the live action, which I know we talked about it. We felt like they were done pretty good. So that's just, I know that's a lot. We got to get people to gotta get people the background story.
Yeah, you got to
Gotta
give
let
them
them
the
know.
intro, how we got here,
Yeah,
all that good
most
stuff.
definitely. And it's
Yeah,
crazy too, cause a lot of people they crap on Rebels too, and they always
yeah,
say it's a kids show. Of course, it had a few episodes that were like dull, and because it's it was on Disney, Disney XD or whatever it was called, but it
some.
has some really good stuff in there. So it's you don't have to watch it to watch this series, but it will help if you want to understand like who the certain characters are or why is this such a big moment in this story and all that. So it helps to watch it. But if you don't, hey, it's okay because you can go into it blind and just watch it for just need something good to watch. But yeah, so Demetrius, what did you think about? I'll say this.
Okay.
Let's start it off like this. What did you? How did you feel about the way it started with the first two? Because remember, we got 2 episodes when it premiered. So, how did you feel after watching those two before we even got anything else?
We talked about this outside the podcast, but I thought they were slow, but it wasn't bad. It was just like it needed to be a little bit, the pacing to be a little bit faster. And I thought at first a lot of the characters that made their debut were they needed time to get into the role. Like
Mm-hmm.
Hera, I wasn't 100% sold on it at first, like the first 2 episodes. But episode
Yeah,
3 hit, I was done. I was like, okay, good,
yeah,
yeah. So it just took a while for them to set that up, but I was engaged. I was interested. It wasn't like I was
yeah.
like, all right, episode 3 better sell me or I'm not gonna watch it. I was like, okay, I get it. But that was my only like criticism about it. It was a little slow, and but it's
Mm-hmm.
understandable. I don't. I understand why it was slow,
Yeah.
and I know you probably have some of the same feelings about the first 2 episodes. But if not, tell me what else you didn't like or liked about it, or what you were feeling.
With the first 2 episodes, like you said, it's typical introduction. Who's who? What's the whole plot? What's the action that's gonna lead up to this and that? It was good that they established early on the whole thing with the map and who were they up against. Like all of that is good because it's good to know that at the beginning. So when you get to a certain part, everything doesn't seem like it's coming at you all at one time.
Yeah,
But like you said, some of it was like a little slow. The dialogue seemed like it was like everybody wasn't it wasn't connecting yet. But then it molded towards the end and stuff. Like you said, with Hera at first, I was like, man, I was like, she gonna have to step it up because we going off of watching like Rebels.
Mhm.
Hera's like feisty and
Got that
she ain't hold
passion.
her she ain't hold her tongue and stuff. I wasn't worried, but I was like, okay, it's the first episode. So we give it time, and then even with Sabine, it's like okay, but at the same time, we got to remember what point in their life they at. This is
Hmm.
like after the whole thing with Ezra. They fought in a war
Yep,
against the Empire, so it's like okay, we got to remember where their headspace is at this point in time. This is not the same characters we were left with after Rebels. Stuff has happened
exactly.
to them, but I will say this Balin Skull's introduction in the first episode was amazing.
Yes, it
And
was.
shout out to Ray Stevens.
Hmm.
Rest in peace for that
Yes,
performance in the whole series. That was the gem of the whole series for me. Like
agree.
he was I don't even think you can call him a villain, but at the same time, can you really say he was a villain?
Not really. He just had like I always say he's like an in betweener. He had his own goal,
Yeah.
and it just happened to be like he was putting the swords, he was putting his lightsaber through people. But he wasn't a villain. He was just like, hey, I got some stuff I got to get to. You're in the way.
Yeah.
Like
Cause
he
he
said, oh,
even,
I'm not a Jedi. Boom.
yeah. But
Which
man,
mirrored freaking Ahsoka and like her whole thing of like she said her not being a Jedi.
and
So
I
it's
thought that
like,
was cool. Yeah.
yeah,
I thought that
which
was
is so
cool.
cool. And
That that like duality.
let's talk about the drip that they had. They had the best car out of all of them.
Yo,
That drip was crazy.
yo. Hey, I was like,
Knights,
man,
come
yeah,
on.
that's what they look like. And it's so crazy because that's why I love Filoni so much because he takes after George, like his interest in mythology and old folklore and stuff. and he based them off of the Norse mythology, like wolves, skull, and what was his apprentice name?
What's her name? I know you're talking about.
What was her name?
It starts.
It was Shin Hati, Skull and Hati, and those are based off of two Norse mythology wolves and stuff. I was like, yes, that's so dope. And it's in the series, a lot of names and stuff he used was like important. They had some meaning behind it. But getting back to the drip, like it's that like almost knights. Like of the round
Aesthetic.
table, no pun intended. Square round
Right?
table, but for the round table, like the knights, and even the way like he fought, his fighting style was like very like disciplined and precise. Like he made sure every hit that he took was like it was like it's just like a knight. Like he held his lightsaber like this,
Like
and
a
then
big old broadsword.
yes, it was cool seeing him. And then like his music, like that piano chord in his music when he was going through the hallway. Now it's see, Vader is the reason for this in Rogue One. He created the hallway scene.
The hallway
for Star
scene.
Wars.
Everybody got one now. Luke got one.
Balin got one.
Balin got
Maul
one.
had one. And
Maul
Clone
had
Wars
one.
the last season. I
And
think it was.
I don't think it was so. I think no, because we can't consider the hallway scene at the end where they all go up that corridor as anything like that. We can't consider that. So no, Ahsoka and them don't have one yet, but I'm sure they'll get one. They'll get one.
I'm sure she'll get one.
But I just like a lot of the, like you said, the duality between the two of them. They weren't. Neither one of them were Jedis at all, or anything. They were more or less just doing their own thing. They had their own code. Ahsoka wasn't trying to be a Jedi. She wanted to live, but she didn't want to go by Anakin's way of just being a soldier. You know, she wanted to survive, but not losing who she was to be that. Because that's what Anakin did. He lost himself in the war. If the war wouldn't have happened, I don't think Anakin would have lost himself as much as he did, because he had to become someone else to survive. And that's why it was shown in episode 5 that his progression to being Vader. It was like the silhouette thing was like he was going down that path that eventually led him to being Vader. Which we gotta have a whole part about talking about the episode 5 just in alone. But yeah.
And speaking of war, like it showed how effed up the war was. They were putting kids out there fighting in the war. Like Ahsoka was like what 14 or something. You got to see that part of the psychological warfare and putting kids out there and turning them into soldiers. Like he even says that he was like, I gotta train you to be a soldier, to fight, to survive. And this is because the Jedi are supposed to be the keepers of the peace.
And that's what he said. That's what Anakin said about Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan trained him to be that keepers of peace, and then he had to teach her to change. But
so he had to switch it up and teach her how to fight. Because it was a war going on, like you were saying, with her and Balin, they both experienced that. They both experienced like that psychological damage of having to fight in that war, and having to deal with the purge after that, and the Jedi being hunted down. Like they went through the same similar stages as far as like being a Jedi. So it's like Balin still had like his agenda. But Ahsoka was more fighting with her failures as like a master, as an apprentice, as a friend. So she was trying to battle with all that. She still had more of the Jedi in her, like as far as like peace and balance and stuff like that. And she was doing good. And Balin was more for the Jedi did it this way, and it didn't work. And that's why I don't. He was like, I respect it, and it was a good time. He said, but I don't go by that anymore because it didn't work. So I'm doing it my way. And I love how he always was like, my path is going here. And he told his apprentice, and he's like, I have a bigger path for you. Basically saying, like, you're not going to go where I'm going. So I'm setting you up to go on
your next little map.
I have a greater calling, which we'll, refer to in the end. But yeah, like we said, going through those first 2 episodes, it sets up everything. And then we got to talk about the lightsaber stabbing. Everybody can get stabbed by lightsabers now.
Hey, we're gonna talk about that for a second, but I wanted to mention one before we move on. In Clone Wars, the the way that people looked at Ahsoka towards the end in those last couple episodes is, and they referred to her as the way the Jedi's should be, like she's the way that they should be, instead of what they are. And I thought that was really cool that they both, Balin and Ahsoka, had their experiences with the Order, and one saw it as what she wasn't expecting it to be, or like what she thought it was, like a brotherhood, not brotherhood, but like a family, like a we look out for each other. And like Balin just said, "Oh no, it's a weakness. They were weak. There was no growth there." Pretty much saying, "Nah, that just wasn't it." But getting onto the stabbing, hey, like I said off the podcast, Qui-Gon Jinn just wasn't in the right time period, man.
It wasn't, man. They didn't have the technology. But my boy, literally everybody that gets stabbed now can survive. So I don't know, man. Hey, I don't know, man. But
like I call it mystic magic, okay?
But this is
faith magic.
This is my thing though. We know that Sabine wasn't gonna get knocked off in like the first episode.
Oh yeah.
So I don't really get why she had to get stabbed. She could have just got beat up,
knocked out.
Bad. Yeah, something. So I was like, okay, she got stabbed. Is that to show us that people can live now from a whole laser burning sword going through your midsection? It don't matter what part of it goes through. It's burning whatever's in the way.
It's crispy and everything around that area. But I think that they could have gotten away with, like I say, her getting knocked out, because it still leads to the same point of her feeling like she can't use that lightsaber, which was the entire point. And I think maybe it was just to set up the fact that reason why she wasn't going to go with Ahsoka for certain parts. You know what I mean? Just take her out of the action, because Ahsoka and Hera need to go investigate the shipyard. And she can't be there in that thing. But it's fine. Like I said, it's not a big negative. It's
big
just
to do. It's just funny to me.
It's just hilarious.
This is like the fifth person that survived the lightsaber stab wound.
This is the universe where people like lose their arms like left and right. Like you're guaranteed to lose an arm in a Star Wars universe somewhere down the line.
And now you're guaranteed to get a stab wound and live to see another day.
Here's the thing. It's also, I think it's a combination of a lightsaber hit and a stab. You got to get the lightsaber hit and then the stab. Like that's how you die. If you don't get the lightsaber butt to the face like Maul did, you survive. It's okay.
Yeah, you survive. Right. So somehow you can survive.
You got to have that head trauma along with the stab. That's the combo. That's the secret sauce.
It is. But yeah, just to catch up on what we were saying with the first two episodes.
Yeah.
I really like, because it's throughout this whole series, I really like how they really show Ahsoka and Sabine, like they relationship is not like whatever. Like when I first saw her, I was like, whatever Ahsoka did as a master, she didn't do a good job, because Sabine is real sour with her, and it's like to see that side of her. Yeah, we know she's a Mandalorian. Her Rebel, she was more like upbeat and stuff, and then in them first two episodes, she was like, "Hey, I don't mess with none of y'all. I'm not coming to the ceremonies.
Right.
I'm finna just go out here to my little hut out in the wilderness and just chill with my love cat and all that." I love how they were setting up the relationship between those two. Can we get a shout out to the greatest character in the series, the best character to me, my boy Hu Yang?
Oh yeah,
the OG, the literal OG. He's been around for everything. The man has seen everything.
He's seen all of it. All of the he could recall whose lightsaber was whose and where he's seen a lightsaber before. He was just the Rolodex of lightsabers, man.
Like my man. He knew Dooku when he was wet behind the ears. Okay,
right.
That's how long he done been around.
He's been long. Since
Yoda was an apprentice, like he didn't seen it all, man. So I think he was one of my favorite characters, and it wasn't like I didn't feel like he was there for comedic purposes. Like he actually had something to do in the show, and he was there for a purpose. Like
exactly,
he knew how to fix the ship. He gave critical like advice. He knew he had loads of information. He could call back to certain stuff to like tell them like, hey, I remember when so-and-so was like this, or giving advice. But at the same time, he was funny because he was sarcastic as hell with some of his stuff. It was like C-3PO and Jeffrey from Fresh Prince meet each other and become a droid. That's what it felt like. Because his
Yeah.
punchlines was like hilarious.
They were on point, yeah. When he did not mess with Sabine at all. He would just roast her head all the time. It was so fucking funny.
He was going in on Sabine. He was basically telling, yeah,
You ain't much.
You sucked today in your training. You got to do
Right?
better.
He's great Jedi's out here, and then there's you. And I was like,
you, exactly.
I was like,
But nah, shout out to him, man. That was a good character. But what else? What was I gonna say? Oh, and I've been seeing a lot of people say this, and it's cool if like they do play with that a little bit. But I love how they was saying like Hu Yang. What if Hu Yang is the one who's been telling us the story of Star Wars the whole time? Because remember he said in the ship, and Ahsoka was like, okay, you know what? You can tell me a story. And he's like, okay, a long time ago in a galaxy far. I was like, yo, that would be dope if he was the one. Like he knew since he's been around for all those years, like he's been telling the story the whole time. And he's probably told everybody, the younglings and stuff, certain stories and all that. But that was like a cool little nod. And that's
cool.
Like I said, that's just Filoni setting little things up for you to just make assumptions and little Easter eggs and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I one thing I do like about this series and what I'm glad we're getting back to is actual lightsaber fights. The Baylan and the Ahsoka fight was actually they were just going at it with the choreography and all that stuff like that. And whenever they did cross blades, anybody cross blades, they were actually fighting. There was not that many cut scenes where they were like, you know what I'm saying? Like the action cutscenes where like you're getting like 15 cutscenes a second or whatever like that. So you're like, they're there, but you just keep getting these things. So we got like long shots and stuff like that, zoomed out shots where we got to see both characters like samurai it out. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool.
And that's what I'm saying about Filoni is being like a student of George Lucas, because George Lucas was inspired by old samurai films and westerns and stuff. So that's why in the original trilogies, a lot of the lightsaber fights feel like slow, and it's not a lot of like twirling and stuff, because he was basing them off of like old samurai. Samurais, they were precise, and they was like 1, 2, 3, like it was block and then attack. So that's the kind of fights, and I just love how like Filoni brings that back, because he even did it in Rebels with when Obi-Wan fought Maul in that episode, and they had a standoff. Which is, oh man, I could talk about that.
Man, that's a great scene.
But yeah, getting back, we're not gonna get on track. But that's one of my favorite scenes. But yeah, I love that too. Like like you said, I love they bringing back like the lightsaber fights, because that was like a big part of the prequels and stuff. And I like how they set up the map. Like we said, how they set up the map, and how they're going into a lot of this lore with the ancient, I guess, not even Jedi, like the history of the Force, and like where did it start, and the mystic part of it and the magic, because of the Night Sisters and all that. I love how it's like they're tracing like back to before all of the Jedi and all that, and you can see it like in the temple where Ahsoka goes in the beginning to get the map to try to find Ezra and Thrawn. It's an old temple. I think they said where one of the Night Sisters.
Yeah,
one of the old temples or something. Yeah, so they're really digging more into that mythology of the Force in this series, and it's really cool because we always get like the Force is this and it's that. It's been around for thousands of years, and we really don't like really see that or learn about it more. I appreciate that he's really calling back to a lot of stuff that George, when he was writing the first Star Wars film. But,
and also this Clone Wars for sure, like that.
That was definitely set up like the Mortis. What was it? The Mortis episode with the father and the son, and
the father, the son, and the daughter.
He was the balance. Yeah, and see, that's another thing. I think this series is tying Anakin to replacing the father and being like the one who has the balance of the Force.
Yeah,
because he was. Remember they were saying he was the chosen one in that episode, and the father wanted him to stay there to keep the balance in between the son and the daughter. If y'all seen that episode, everybody remembers how that went.
Exactly, I remember exactly. Yeah. But I think, like I said off podcast, I think everything that happened to Anakin happened the way it's supposed to set him up for him to be the father, because he needed to understand not only the light side of the Force, which is the Jedi, but also the dark side, which is the Darth Vader days. to get that full circle, so that when he went to the world between worlds, he'd be able to handle all of that. And I think that makes him a really good character. It makes it a full circle moment, but also it makes sense of his fall. Like it makes it a bigger purpose, which I think is cool.
Yeah, since we on the subject of Anakin Skywalker, we just gotta. I'm just happy. I'm just so happy that Hayden is back, man. Like even with he came back for the Obi-Wan series, but this was the series where he got to shine, like for real. Like we got to see what Hayden would have been like. Cause don't get me wrong, I love the prequels. I've grown to love them more as I get older. Yeah. But a lot of the dialogue was like, eh. So it's and that's nothing to talk about George or what he did. He's a great storyteller, but we always say George cannot direct people. Like he is not good at directing people. That's just his thing. Yeah. But it's good to see. It's refreshing to see Hayden like actually have some like good dialogue and him embrace that character that Matt set up when he did Anakin in the Clone Wars. You get to see that transition, and it's almost like it just picked up. Like it all just moves, like it flows so smoothly. And they even said Hayden went back and watched Clone Wars episodes so he could understand what Anakin was at this time and stuff like that. And that's what I love. That's what I love about Hayden. He's dedicated to this character. Like, he actually loves to play Anakin. So it was so dope to see him come back. And then we got what we've been waiting for, Anakin in live action in the Clone Wars garb. Yeah, like, nice. It was cool to see all that. But just the dynamic between him and Ahsoka and seeing it's crazy because Hayden never did any kind of things with that era of Anakin. So it just blew my mind to see it all unfold and stuff. And even getting caught up in the nostalgia, the teaching of that episode and that whole moment with him coming in was probably like the best part of the series, and that like really brought everything together. That was the setup, and then it was like everything that was coming after that was. I think that's when the series really picked up when she went to the world between worlds and did like she completed her training with Anakin, because that's basically what it was. He was completing her training. Excuse me, since he didn't get to physically do it because of certain things that transpired.
But I like killing all the. I don't know. I was trying to censor it, but I was like, no, it's gonna stay younger. But I like that because I watched the interview, or not interview, but I saw some behind the scenes, and I didn't know that they knew each other at one point in time. Rosario Dawson and like Hayden.
Oh yeah, they go way back.
I didn't know that. I didn't really know that because I don't really know too much about it about the actors behind the scene. But I thought that was cool, and it showed up, or not showed up, but it like you could tell like during their scenes together, they at the very least had some sort of chemistry, to where it worked, to where you could tell that they were master and apprentice. Like it made it even more believable than if they didn't. I like that, and I liked the fact that like she was like, no, I'm not gonna be you. I'm gonna live, but on my own means. I'm not gonna be a soldier. I'm not gonna do this thing like that. So I thought that was really cool. And I liked what's his name? Jason? Harrison. I like how he could hear the lightsabers going off, and he was like, no, you gotta listen. Don't you hear the blades? And then we started hearing them. I love that like it was waves at first, and then it was like the blades when she heard it, we started hearing it. I thought that was a really cool like little thing.
And that's called good. That's called good writing and good directing and good editing, because that's a technique where it's like they let the audience, you connect with the audience on the outside into the inside of your world. So it's like we can't hear it because we're not connected to the force. But like you said, like when Hera went over there with him, that was us on the outside going over there with him. And then we finally hearing what he's hearing when he tells just you gotta listen, because he said it at first. Do you hear the waves, the waves crashing? And she's like what? You gotta listen. I was like, yo, that was like a great moment. Yeah, that episode was done really well. Of course, it was directed by Dave, because it was only right that he directed the episode about the world in between worlds, because that was that's his baby. He came up.
Yeah, he came. So, exactly.
So I know me and you talked about it, and we said, I guess what we came up with is that Anakin, when he became one with the Force, he became like the gatekeeper, like the Gandalf of this realm, because he's the one, the chosen one, like we said, bringing balance to the Force and all that stuff, and he can like thread that light and dark because he like you said, he had both sides to learn from. And just like
Yeah.
when he was training Ahsoka, and he was like, okay, I tried to do it this way. I tried to be nice. I tried to be patient with you, but I guess I gotta come out as Vader to like snap you out of this whatever trance you in right now. Cause I'm telling you that I'm trying to let you live. And a lot of people were saying maybe Anakin actually learned the power that he was trying to get when he joined
Yeah.
the dark side with Palpatine, which was the power to save someone from dying. Because
Yeah.
he says at the beginning, he was like, you have the choice. He's like, you lost, and she's like, I lost. He's like, now you have the choice to either live or die. And she was like, huh? When he said
Yeah.
that, when you first watch it, you don't pick up on it because it's just okay. But then you think about it, man, did he actually figure it out? Like he learned it in the afterlife of the Force, and I was like, that is just so cool. And even when he gets to the end, and Ahsoka's like you said, she's like, I choose to live.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turns back into like Anakin, and he smiles, and then he's like, there's still hope for you yet. And then boom, she comes back. So it was so dope to see like that whole like transition of him teaching her and trying to fight, because that's always been Anakin's thing. He fights for the people that he loves, and
Yep.
if he can save you, he's gonna do it. And that was like his thing as a Jedi. Like when Padme got knocked off the ship, he was willing to tell them to turn that ship around so they couldn't catch Dooku, so he could save Padme. Even with Obi-Wan, when they fought Dooku in the beginning of episode
Mm-hmm.
3, he was like, the chancellor was like, leave him. He was like, no. It's like his fate is gonna be ours because that's my brother. With his mom, if he could have saved his mom earlier, he would have went back to save her. Like
Yep.
he's always tried to save people because he cares. It's good to see that callback of his character in that moment in the afterlife and what he's doing. So I think that was I'll go to say that was my favorite, one
Yeah,
of my
I
favorite
agree.
episodes. But I think the juice of the series after that is the whole Thrawn, like when Thrawn finally
Yeah.
gets introduced. Cause my goodness, whoo,
No.
that damn Thrawn, man.
Yeah, man. When he was introduced, man. I know. I think the funniest part about his introduction or his parts is when he found out Ahsoka was Anakin's Padawan,
Oh,
and
he was
he,
shitting bricks.
he
He was like, "What?" He said, I gotta change my whole game plan now. He's
man,
scratch everything I had. Let's go back to the drawing board."
we got to come
He
up
even
with
said, if she's like her master, she's gonna be very unpredictable. Like, I'm
right.
not having it.
I'm not having that.
I'm
Which
not having it.
she was like, she did some Anakin stuff, like going through the asteroid belt
Oh,
thing or
that's
whatever.
very Anakin.
That's very Anakin. That's textbook Anakin. So I was like, she right about that. And he was like, we just gonna bombard the entire area. We just gonna make sure that we just nuke it everything because we got to make sure she's done.
Yeah, and
But
then
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, and then can we just have a side note to say this, that in a way we can blame Sabine for the next war that's finna happen. Yeah, we got Ezra back and all that stuff, but because she gave them the map, they found Thrawn, and he
Yep.
technically got back. So did we really win that one? You know, but
I mean, we got a friend back, but at what cost?
you know what I'm saying, like, at
Because
what cost?
here's the thing. It's bad enough that Thrawn came back, but he came back with Night Sister magic and what is it, a Star Cruiser level of like crits to reanimate.
Mm-hmm.
We got magical zombies now, and I don't even like regular zombies, but now we got magic ones. And I'm like, and if I'm in the Star Wars universe, I'm like, I'm not dealing with that.
And look, the Jedi ain't around like that. It's 100 of them, so.
I'll say there's the 3 Jedi's were having trouble with them with a little squadron. Man.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. I love how and shout out to the Mickelson brothers for killing it in the Star Wars game. He got
Yes.
Matt and his what's his brother? I forget his brother. Matt Mickelson and damn it, I always forget names, but y'all know who I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
Galen Urso in Rogue One, and then his brother is playing Thrawn. So shout out to him. But you know what? A lot of people. I was one of those people who was like, man, I wonder how that's gonna be for him in live action because he did the voice in Rebels. I
Yeah.
was like, man, I know he does the voice good. I was like, but I wonder if he's gonna have the essence of Thrawn and embody him just like in the show.
Yeah.
And man, did he knock it out the park, bro?
He really did. He was really
He
good.
knocked it out the park. He really did.
Yeah.
And
Can we get a shout out? Because we haven't mentioned him yet. Ezra, or too much. Ezra's the actor who plays him, knocked that out of the park. It was
dude,
so good.
I almost felt like they just took Ezra out of the animated series and just
Flopped
dropped
him
him in the
in.
show, and he turned into a real person. Because, bro, I almost couldn't separate the actor from the animated character.
Agreed. Yeah.
Even his mannerisms and certain looks and things he did was just like Ezra, bro.
It was. It really was. It's so cool that we get to see. Was it 10 years have gone by, and he's older, and he looks like his dad. He looks like his
does.
father.
He looks just like his dad.
father.
Yeah.
I was like, that was a good little nod.
He looks just like his dad. Yep.
And
just like him.
He got what is it? I'll call it a Jedi martial arts. He's got the whole
but it's Bruce Lee and them out there. He told Sabine, he's like, nah, I don't need that.
He's like, you need that. I don't need that. You need that more than me.
But yeah, that was Ezra's introduction was cool. It was that damn Sabine though. Even at that, she still wouldn't tell him how they got there. She just kept, nah, we can talk about that later. If I was Ezra, I'd been like, nah, bro. What you do? What did you do?
I feel like Ezra
ain't telling me something.
He was just chilling.
Exactly. He's like, okay.
All right.
I know. Ezra was like, I know I'm finna go home. I guess we'll figure it out later.
Because I know she didn't come here. He's like, I know she didn't come here with no plan. He's just sitting there. I know she didn't do that. Literally, that's exactly what she did.
Exactly what she did. But nah, the whole dynamic with them and their relationship, and when they finally got back together, and like I said, these actors did really good.
Yeah, I feel like they did their research. Yeah. They watched the show. They watched it obviously, but they probably studied it really heavily because there's certain things that the characters did that the anime, the Bean's humor is there. When she had those humor parts, that's something that was that's from Rebels.
Yeah.
Or when Ezra got his hair cut off, he's so close.
Yeah. So close.
So close. And then him taking the stormtrooper armor and coming back with that. That is so him. So how do you feel about? There's some things I got to ask you about. There's a couple things. I'm gonna give the first one, the bigger one. How do you feel about Sabine having the Force?
I don't think I really got a problem with it anymore.
Yeah,
because I went on YouTube and watched videos and stuff, and they did call back to it, when she was training with Kanan. Yeah, and the Rebels, and he was saying something is blocking her from tapping into her potential, and it was okay, so it was already there, so it's not something that just came out of the blue and everybody can use the Force, because the thing about it is a lot of people will say they'll just make everybody force sensitive, but if you pay attention to Star Wars lore and whatever, even from the original movies, Yoda says, him and Obi-Wan, they say the Force is in all living things. It flows through us. It binds us. So it's saying even though you don't have the Force, we all are connected through it. It's that thing that's going through all of us.
Yeah, and people were saying they listed Han Solo and how good he was at flying. Is him using the Force to be able to fly really.
Yeah, you don't have to pick stuff up with your hand and be able to do crazy backflips and have you don't have to. That's not always a part of the Force. It's the tiniest thing that can help you. Like you said, do something with Han Solo. So that's what it is, and because they dropped that dime in Rebels. When it happened, the reason why I liked it with her is because she didn't automatically tap into it. She
No.
was struggling the whole series to even
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. And I love how like when we thought she finally did it when she was locked up in the prison and
Yeah.
the ship going over the where she was, and I was like, okay, that was good.
That was
That
good.
was
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that was a good throw. But when she finally did use it, it was like she had no choice but to try to tap in because it was like life or death. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was cool because it was like, okay, it finally made her like focus, just like with Luke when he was in the cave
Yeah.
on Hoth, the what is it, the Wampa, whatever that thing is,
Yeah.
and he was gonna die. He had to like tap into the Force because he was still in his early training, and because he was gonna die, he was like, okay, I got to do this now. So they didn't make it seem like she just automatically did it like some
Yeah.
characters
So
in the
the bit.
series in the new trilogy series, but we ain't gonna say no names.
Yeah. So the thing is, because at the end of the day, like it comes back to what Yoda said: "Do or do not. There is no try." So she kept saying she's
Yeah.
trying to do it. Remember throughout the series, I'm really trying to do this. And even Ahsoka was like,
She
"Try."
look,
And so in the
you
moment,
already
she
know what
had
I'm
to
finna
do or
say.
do not. She had to do it.
hmm
Like she had to,
hmm
and that's something that I'm glad they kind of, I guess maybe without them knowing, or maybe they knew that they nodded back to Yoda's "do or do not. There is no try" kind of thing.
Yeah.
And where Luke did it, and everybody who's had to do it had to like just do it. They couldn't be like, "Oh, I can't," because you die.
Yeah, you can't think
There is
about
no
it. Yeah,
trying in this
yeah. You
situation. That's
gotta
a
just
situation
do it.
where, yeah, and
And
I like. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I liked her confidence in herself. Like after that, she's like, "I can get you over there." When he was running up, and Ezra was like, "Are you sure?
and
You
that's
good?"
another moment. That's another Ezra and Sabine moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It wasn't like she like lifted him all the way over there because people were like, "Oh,
yeah.
she was so good at it." I'm like,
Nah,
he struggled. She struggled to
she
even get
struggled.
him there
Yeah.
because he didn't even
He
land on the
barely
platform.
made it.
He had to
Yeah.
climb up.
He barely made it. But
Yeah.
and I also think what contribute to her tapping in too is she finally had that moment of clarity
Mm-hmm.
with Ahsoka because Ahsoka went through her thing. She finally figured out her place and what she failed at as training Sabine. Because even
Mm-hmm.
when they got Ezra back, when they all reunited, when they was on the ship, and when Ezra was like rebuilding his lightsaber and stuff, and with Hu Yang, and he said, "Yeah," he said, "You must have been a good apprentice to your master."
Mm-hmm.
And Sabine was right there, and she dipped out after he said that because it was like, she wasn't a good apprentice to her master. So it's, that reflecting on like what she did wrong. And then that's when her
Yeah.
and Ahsoka had that moment. And Ahsoka was basically like, hey, I know we've been through this and that. And it's almost like this, whatever happened, but I'm here for you now.
I.
I'm behind you just because
Mm-hmm.
that's how Anakin was
I was
for
about to
her.
say that.
Yeah,
Say
so
that.
she was
Yeah.
like, and that's the key to what she figured out. That was the key to her actually being a good being a good master to her. Because, like we said, like we talked about, Ahsoka is the legacy
Mm.
of Anakin as far as like his teachings and stuff. Because she comes from that line of the masters and apprentices. Because it goes Dooku and Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka, and it stops there. Because of course, everybody says Luke and Leia, that's his children. Yeah, that's his bloodline, but he didn't teach them, and they don't have those qualities from him as lessons learned. So
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka is the one who actually has the lessons from Anakin, which kind of in a way is from Obi-Wan. She has all of that, which is a legacy of a great line of Jedi, and she's the end of it. So after
Yeah.
her, it's nobody else. So now she figured out, okay, this is what I gotta do because I gotta pass this on to my apprentice now. So it's real cool to see that full circle and really to see Ahsoka carrying on the legacy of Anakin. And even like when she talked to Luke, and what was that? Was that the Mandalorian? Yeah, it was
Mandalorian.
the
Yeah.
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, when she was talking to Luke and she had that moment with him. So she's the person that carries that with her, and she
Mm.
can give it to those people like Luke. She can give that to Luke because he didn't have that with his dad. I'm just hoping now that we seen Anakin in live action as a Force Ghost, we get him and Luke. If I get that, I'm good. I don't have to say
Yeah.
anything else ever again. I don't have to see
Yeah. I
anything
agree.
else.
That would be perfect, and I think because what you said about Luke not really being like legacy of Anakin, really, because he was trained by Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was his thing, so he has more
Yeah,
of
Obi-Wan
that
was.
teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And Ahsoka, she has all of it. Like she has all of it.
She's Anakin. Yeah, she's what Anakin would be if he stayed on. If he went the path she went, that's more likely what Anakin would have been like as a Jedi. And she
Exactly.
can embrace that middle ground, the gray Jedi.
Hmm.
So you
Yeah,
definitely see that in her.
and her fears about Sabine was because of how Sabine's whole entire people were like wiped out, and she didn't want her
Mm-hmm.
to go down the path of
She didn't want to do
Anakin.
revenge. Yeah, be revengeful about it because
Hmm.
that was the wrong way to go about it. And that her and Ahsoka's fear of that is what held her back from training her and being a
Yep.
good master. So it's excuse me, you just that man, it's just good. I don't even have the words to say it. I just love how
It's
everything connects, bro.
I do too. I like how everyone like they didn't really like set up anything for too much ties to any of the stuff that's going on like Mandalorian or the sequel series. None of this really ties too much to it besides the fact that Thrawn is back and we know that's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
And it's
no go ahead.
no, I was just saying, and it's gonna set up probably Dave Filoni's movie. And I
Yeah.
think they're saying it's gonna be the heir to the empire. That's gonna be Thrawn and all that. So I think I asked you about this because we get Thrawn back and they're kind of canonizing like that original legend story of his and kind of weaving it into like the new like timeline. Do
Yeah.
you think? I know you think, but I think that Luke has to be a part of that story
Yeah.
because he's the thing about Luke is he was a vital part in Legends for everything that happened after the fall of the Empire. And even now, with them introducing him in The Mandalorian, it's almost okay, we know he's around, so y'all can't just act like he's not here. And if it's one Jedi we're gonna call on to help during the war, it's probably the best one that's around right now, who literally just defeated the Emperor and Vader in their eyes because nobody knows the whole thing about Vader. So he would be the person to call on. And I even think we should get like some hints of Han, because like we got
Mm-hmm.
Leia's name dropped in the series, because of
Yep.
course you can't go through a series like this and do the politics and not mention Leia. And I
No.
love how they use 3PO to keep the namesake of her and not actually have to show her, because of course with Carrie Fisher and all that stuff. But I love
Yeah.
how they use 3PO to do that. So it's like we gotta have these characters somewhere in there, but definitely if anybody, Luke should
Oh
should
yes.
be in these should be in the next season of this, or whenever they do the movie to set it up for Heir to the Empire, because that's definitely what this series is doing. It's setting that up for sure. So I don't know what the Mandalorian's next season is gonna really be about.
It man, with
But
Thrawn being around, it's gonna have to it's man, that writing gonna have to be
yeah,
great.
man, it
Impeccable.
is. It is. Because I'm gonna tell you now, Mandalorians are like good. They're good at what they do and stuff, but we talking about they going up against Thrawn. So
Yep.
this ain't no like cookie cutter like villain of the week. This is like a dude who's like strategic with every situation, and
Mm-hmm.
he studies the culture of people. He don't study like battle the culture. So he take a deep dive into your like
Mm-hmm. Into
history.
your whole thing.
Yeah, so like you
He's so
said,
much
it's
of a
gonna have to
threat
be
that it sacrificed Ezra. Like they sacrificed Ezra. That's
exactly.
how big of a threat he was. They were like,
Yeah.
"Yo," or Ezra sacrificed himself
Yeah,
because
so he could say exactly.
he understood that if Don was here, we weren't winning. Like it just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah,
That's how
so
much of a threat he was. So him being back in main universe is
yeah. I
that
That's
I
what
don't
I
know.
think. Like I said, definitely episode 5, episode with Anakin was my favorite. But the other one was definitely the last episode. The finale
Mm-hmm.
was amazing. Because it was like I just love how Thrawn is always it was a necessary loss to a greater victory. I was like, bro, like he accepts losses because it's like, hey, I understand I have to take some hits to get to my endpoint. It's like a boxer. You go through the first couple of minutes, first couple of rounds, you take a couple of hits, and it's okay. I done got him tired a little bit. Okay, I done hit him in the body a couple times. All right, let me go for the kill. So you take your losses for your wins, and I just love how calm he is. Even though he got a little thrown off about learning that was Anakin's like apprentice, he still okay. I gotta figure something out because I know she finna be a problem. I love how he doesn't like freak out and just throws a tantrum. Like he's so chill. Like he's the chillest villain ever. Like he just be like, okay, prepare the ships for departure. And then if that don't happen, he says, call back the ships and get ready to leave. I was like, yeah. And then that's another thing. They always have a villain when they say they finna leave or they're finna go do something. Like they have a whole part where it seems like it takes a long time for them to leave, and then they don't because Thrawn was like, he got out of there immediately. He's hey, latch on to the hyper. Let's get out of here. I'm not waiting no more. I'm not wasting any more time. Okay, if Bridget is on here, I don't care. You know, we got what we need. Let's get up out of here. I like how Thrawn is. I ain't wasting no time. I got to get
like I can deal with all that stuff later. I'm getting out.
I'm getting out of here.
I like his right hand man's design. That shit was cool.
Yeah, Enoch,
yeah.
Yeah, Enoch. I like the stormtrooper with the gladiator mask.
Yeah, that was so cool. I was like, I was pretty cool about it.
With that, like the way that kind of like sent off, where do you feel like this is my question. With Balin's goal, because we gonna end it with Balin because he kicked it off. And he was like an important part throughout the story too. So with Balin's character, where do you feel like it ended with him in that last scene? Because the last few moments of the last episode had a lot in it, like for like setting up things. Because you had his apprentice, you had her with going back to that village of the people that they got to help them. You had Ahsoka and Sabine figuring out their next life on this planet, whether they're gonna leave or not, and her seeing Anakin. And then I love how Sabine, now that she's connected with the Force, how she felt it a little bit, but she just didn't understand what it was she was feeling. Yeah. So you had that, and then you had Balin on the statue of the father, and then you saw the son. And I think the daughter was the one that was messed up.
The daughter was
which is a callback to her because she ended up dying in the animated series, and then of course Ezra returning back home and Thrawn. So as a whole, like the way it ended, like where do you feel like it's gonna go next?
I know. I'm sure. What I'm thinking is, about the Sabine stuff. I think I like that she's being able to start to see, like you said, things. I can't remember what she said, but she saw something there, murky kind of wise, and it was like she kind of was able to see it. And then I like that. I think Ahsoka, like she saw him. I think they had this like moment, which is cool. But I think the beginning of the next season, they're going to be fighting against Balin's apprentice. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen. And they're probably going to either have the ship fixed and leave, or they're going to go after Balin. And we're going to get some more lore on that, because he's probably more than likely going in the direction of whatever the area for the father, the sister, and the brother, or the son and the daughter. Sorry. But he's going to go in that area because I think that's where it's pointing. It's pointing to that area.
Yeah, and I think it's the actual place that they. I think that's supposed to be the same place from Mortis from Clone Wars, because everybody was like doing the side by side, and it looked similar.
So I think we're going to get a lot of next season. We're going to get a lot of Force origin lore. Like I know and I'm excited for that because I really want to know more about that in general.
I just remembered because Balin even said that it was like his apprentice asked him like, what was the purpose of him doing this, and he was like, that's like for another war. He was like, yes, something in the vein of yes, another war, but for a greater power. Yeah. So whatever he's going for that power, because I think that's why he's looking for the temple, so he can find out like what it is he needs to have the power. That I guess he think he needs to survive or bring the Jedi back or whatever he's trying to do, whatever his goal is. Because like he said, his purpose is bigger than what he has for her. Like it's all going. I hope they're gonna. Of course, they're gonna get at Tusk, but I think that's where it's going because he did mention that. Like he really was saying, like I don't care about it being another war. Y'all can get thrown. I'm trying to get to this place. So basically, he probably already knew what was there, and that's why he was okay with going.
With doing all the stuff he did. And I think because what he says to his apprentice is, I trained you to be better. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's where he's at. I'm better than Sith and Jedi. They have their flaws. Mm-hmm. And that's going to lead into where he's going to find Anakin, the father. Because we might as well confirm that. We might as well confirm that.
That'd be dope if Anakin comes out in his Balin skull. Said, I remember you back when I was a pet. Just little nods and stuff.
We need a little bit more on how he knew Anakin, though, because I'm curious, more curious about that.
Like who was his master, or what part, like where he was when this and that. But I think we're gonna get a lot of that in that second season. I think we're gonna get more Anakin stuff, more Balin. Definitely gonna see. I think it's gonna be cool to see Hera, in action with Ezra, and how they're gonna start getting forces together to get ready for that battle, because it's happening. That whole thing is happening.
Yeah, it's happening quick, because the way she talked to old girl about Thrawn, she was like, "Hey man, hope for the best, prepare for the worst."
Prepare for the worst, exactly.
And I was like, man, but do you think that Ezra is going to train her son? Do you think that he's going to do that? It's a nod to his father.
I think it will only be right because his father trained.
Yeah,
his father trained Ezra, and I think that would only. I think Ezra would feel like that's the right thing to do, and just like how you gonna just bring that knowledge to him about his dad? Because of course he's gonna want to know what his dad was like. And Ezra, other than Hera, Ezra is the next closest person to really let him know even what his dad was like as a Jedi and stuff.
Exactly.
I definitely think they're gonna say that, and that's why I think they let Ezra come back.
Yeah,
instead of everybody else. So that's probably gonna happen.
And I think that him getting his Kanan, the actual last one of those hilt pieces, was to set that up. Was to set that up for him being the new master of his son. It'd only be right.
Can we just say this is Ezra's third lightsaber now?
Right.
He went through three. One got destroyed. He gave away the other one, and now this is the third one.
But I feel like this is his final one. I feel like this is the final one because he got that important piece.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna slice up his blade right away because he just got the new piece. But I like seeing the closer we're gonna get to Kanan's lightsaber in live action. I was like,
yeah, that was exactly.
Yeah.
So. And speaking of lightsabers, remember Ahsoka lost one of hers now.
She did.
So she's down to one. But I wonder if she kept that sword.
She did.
I'm gonna say it had.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it now because if she didn't, that's a waste.
Yeah.
That sword
was
cool.
With her, that rematch with her and Morgan.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a good one. When she got when she finally became a night sister. Because
all set her up.
Yeah, they basically sacrificed her to get.
Yeah, because they were like, "Oh, you want this magic? Okay, we'll give it to you, but you gotta stay here."
It's kind of messed up. I felt kind of bad for her because I was like, she did so much to get that approval.
For the cause.
Yeah, she did so much to get that approval, and they just like, all right, go die.
And they immediately knew. They were like, "Oh, she died." I was like, "Dang!" Yeah. Not even like a sadness, like a
just
pause
going
or
back
whatever.
Thrawn. She did what her purpose was. I was like, bro, he is cold, man.
Oh, no, the fact that he left some of his men there to hold him off.
Yeah, man.
They sacrificed himself, and I was like, did they, or did you just tell him, "Hey, guard this thing real quick. We're gonna get out of here. You're gonna be with us."
His favorite line: "Unnecessary loss."
And then there was a line that I don't know how, because they were talking about it. I watched this video about a little Easter egg and stuff like that. Yeah. And they were like, "Oh, dock the captain's pay," like the guy who died. And I was like, and that was setting up for the fact of him coming back as I'm gonna call them zombies for the sake of the thing. I know they have probably a term that I'm forgetting, but they came back as zombies. But I thought that was a good little setup to let us know that he's not dead. The captain's not dead. He'll be back. Plus, his face, his helmet was damaged.
Mm-hmm.
When he was flying, his helmet was already cracked. And I was like when I went back and rewatched it again, I was like, I saw all these little nods to it and stuff like that, which is cool. And they had zombie faces, man. When they when you saw when they were trying to
troopers.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I said, oh, that's nice. I said that looked really good. I was like, man, that's cool as hell, bro.
It was, man.
I'm excited, man. I'm gonna say this.
Agreed.
This series and Andor are probably some of the best written
We've gotten a
directed
while.
series that we got in a while, especially with Star Wars. This whole new era of Star Wars, those are the two best series to come out of this. Really, it gets me excited again about Star Wars as far as like telling. Even the Mandalorian, the first two seasons were strong.
Third was doing this the whole time.
I'll go as far as the series live action. I'll go. Andor is still at the top in my list.
Oh, it is.
Even after this, I still got Andor at the top. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm
Andor
not gonna say
just hit different.
It did. It did. It's not like I say. They're like this. They're like kind of like level for me. They're level for me. Yeah, it's not like one's better than the other one. It's just like level.
Andor, Ahsoka, Mando, Obi-Wan, and Book of Boba Fett.
I agree with that list. Yeah, I agree with that list. Actually,
the only reason I say Mando before Obi-Wan is because the first two seasons of Mandalorian
were strong.
Good. Even though the third kind of was like shaky, it still had two good seasons. And then, so that's why I got to put that above Obi-Wan. And then, of course, Book of Boba Fett going to be at the bottom, period. It doesn't matter.
I'm going to switch the first two. I'm saying Ahsoka just barely beating Andor, but Andor is it's like right there. And then I'm going Mando, because same reason for you. Obi-Wan, because even though Obi-Wan wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, Book of Boba was a disappointment. I was disappointed. There was like maybe one episode of Book of Boba that I was like cool when he like went back to he went back and got revenge on that was like a scene that I liked, but everything else I was just like, what am I watching here?
Book of Boba was very disappointing because they could have
done so much
stuff with Underworld, boss stuff, but anyways, I'm not even
that's a whole other podcast right there. I don't even think we didn't even review Book of Boba. That's how bad.
Because we didn't like it.
That's how bad it was. I thought about that the other day. I was like, wait, we didn't even do that one. I was thinking about that.
No, we didn't like it. That's why. But so yeah, but with all that, we talked about what we like, characters, the nostalgia. Shout out to all the directors too of the series. And two brothers.
Yes.
Two when I say brothers, two brothers directed episodes in this series. So was it Peter Ramsey? And I always mess up my boy name. I'm gonna see if I can get it right this time. What episode was that he did?
Are you talking about the 5? No, 4.
I think it was. Now Peter Ramsey did episode 4. I think. Yeah, then Peter Ramsey did episode 4, and Rick did.
He did the last one, right?
I think he did. Yeah, he did do the finale. I think Rick. I think that's how you say his name. He did the season finale. So shout out, bro, because he directed some stuff in Mandalorian. He did Mandalorian. I think Obi-Wan. So shout out to Peter Ramsey and Rick. For direct. At the Square Round Table, we are blurred. We brothers. When we see our folks out there doing it big, especially in Star Wars, that's like people don't understand. That's like a big thing for African Americans directing in Star Wars. Now all we need to do is get us in the writer's room and producing it. Once we get in there, then we done made it. But that's like a big step, seriously, as a Star Wars fan. Because growing up, we didn't get to see a lot of black directors.
Lando.
Yeah. All we had was like the couple of people in the movies, and that was it. So behind the scenes, that's a big up. So I had to give my shout out to them on that.
Of course.
Like I said, Dmitri, we talked about all that good stuff, and then we just gave like our little little rankings of live action series. But as a whole of a show, what would you give it? What we gonna do out of 5?
Yeah, I ranked it. I gave you the out of 5 when I did the rank because I feel like that's somewhat easier kind of way to do it instead of 10.
So out of 5, Demetrius, what do you rank Ahsoka's series?
4.5. Like I said, I'll stay strong on my 4.5 because the first 2 episodes were slow and that was fine. But if I'm gonna be critical of it, then that would be why I'm not giving it 100% perfect. But that's just subtle things. Like 4.5 is a little subtle, tiny 0.5 little thing right there. But it was a great series. And like I say, I think I rated Andor like in about an 8, so about around the same thing. It did exactly what it is, and it got me excited for Star Wars again. 4.5 is earned.
Yeah, definitely. I would say 4. I just stick with my 4.
Oh, okay. What's why not the what's the whole
4 out
point?
of 5.
What's the whole point difference or 0.5 difference?
Only because, like you just said, it was like
Okay.
it's just little moments that were a little slow, some of the like technical things, just like from a cinematic point of view, you know.
Okay, I get that.
It's not nothing major. It's just my little nitpicky self. But yeah,
That's
and I
fine.
just
It's still
normally,
good.
yeah, I think I got to keep it at a 4 out of 5, which is fair.
Yeah, that's fair. So
Yeah,
4
it's
to
still a good.
4.5 is
Yeah.
100% fair.
Overall, I guess we'll have to give it a 4.5. I'll let Demetrius overall rate
Hey, yeah, 4.5
it.
overall. So Square on Table rates Ahsoka season
Ahsoka,
1 a 4.5
4.5 out of 5.
out of 5. Yeah.
So Demetrius, you know what time it is, man. You gotta give it a little of that
Shameless promotional.
shameless promotion. All right.
Hey, there it is. It's canon now. You gotta do it every time now. Like it has
I
to.
was finna bring y'all to church on that one.
Hey, you should have, man.
But now the Demetrius let the good people out there know where they can find us and where they can listen to this podcast and many more. You know, go ahead and do your thing, brother.
All right, you can listen to this podcast on Fandom at the squareroundtablepod.fandom.com, squareroundtablepod.fandom.com. It's so good, you gotta say it twice. You can visually see us on YouTube at the Square Round Table Pod. Give us a comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell on the right side of the video so you get notified of this video and future videos. Leave us a comment if you like this series, what you didn't like, if you agree with our points, if you disagree. We want to hear all of it. We'll be down there with you guys chopping it up for sure. We want to hear all of your theories about what a season 2 would be for sure, and what you saw and what you think of Anakin being the father and all that good stuff. So let us know.
How badass Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka.
Let us know with all that. Also, let us know if Balin's you think he's a Sith, or if he's your favorite Sith Lord or whatever. Let's all know all that stuff down there. Hit us up on our Twitter. Oh, I'm sorry, X. I keep forgetting it's X now. It's
formerly
X.
known as Twitter.
Formerly known as Twitter. Hit us in the Facebook group. I might as well stop saying it because you guys never get in that Facebook
y'all
group.
y'all don't love us, man. Y'all don't love us.
And hit us up on our Instagram. We'd love to see you guys there on all these different platforms. And eventually we're going to get to TikTok. It's a crazy beast. Yeah. Okay, we got to get our lightsabers out for that.
Oof, I'm telling you, man. And
but with that being, go ahead, continue.
Oh no, I was gonna say, and also if you want to see more reviews like this, go on our like you said, go on our YouTube, Instagram, all our social media platforms, and just look for movie reviews, show reviews. Our latest one out right now is the One Piece live action review, which you can go check out on YouTube, and many more. And then coming soon. We still working on it, but coming soon, we will start doing movie or show reviews of classics. And I'm announcing it right now. It's gonna be called Be Kind Rewind. And that'll be me and Demetrius, and sometimes Chad will come and join us. We'll be looking at old movies when we was kids or even older and just reviewing them and going through that nostalgia. That's something we're going to bring to y'all, something we're working on. So hopefully soon, sometimes if it's not this year, it'll be probably next year.
Yeah, if it's not this year, next year for sure.
Together. So that's just an announcement we're making here at our review circle.
It's official announcement right here. Here first.
We will be bringing that to y'all. So also comment on that. Give us movies y'all would want us to do, or any suggestions y'all. Just give us something what y'all would like to see. Just let us know. And on that note, Demetrius, go ahead and take us out of here.
And on that note, I've been your host, Dmitri.
And I'm Marcus.
And this has been the Square Round Table Podcast. And we are out. Peace. You did the Star Trek on them?
I did the Star Trek on
them. Yeah, man.
I did the Star Trek. We all the same. No
beef in the comment about that, by the way.
No beef. It's all look.
No
It's
beef,
all
right?
love. We out of here.
Peace.